Okay, Jen, I'm going to try and show you a few things on how to help you fix your ornament. We're going to start by foil wrapping some glass pieces. So the first thing you want to do after you get your piece of glass, I'm assuming that it's wrapped, actually your piece of glass is wrapped in actual metal, like a tin or aluminum, and that's different from the copper foil that I'm going to be sending you. This is the copper tape, all right, and it's like this. It's real flimsy, but this is only the catalyst to hold the solder onto the glass. So my suggestion would actually be to take all that metal off around your piece of glass. It'll be different from the rest of the ornament that you have, but that's okay. You know, it'll just look different, but you know that Japanese art saying that just because something's broken, you don't throw it away. The more broken it is, the more history and the more beautiful a piece becomes, right? You just fix it up and it keeps on going. So what you want to do after you get your piece of glass out is just take some rubbing alcohol and clean your glass. All right, you want to make sure that you get anything off of it, and just clean it up real good. All right, because you got to get that copper tape to stick to the glass, so you don't want to have anything sticky or any kind of rust, if there's any rust or anything on your glass. All right. Okay, so when you get the tape, I'll have it, I'll keep it in a full length. You're just gonna wanna keep it as it is, right? And you're gonna measure it out by putting it at one end on the glass. Doesn't matter where you start, and wrap it around the glass like this. And when you get to the starting point, go about 1/4 of an inch over, give it a little kink because you want a slight overlap, and then cut it where that kink is. All right. And then don't take the whole paper backing off all at once. Just start it at one corner, bend it over slightly to get it started, and peel it off. Okay, and you'll see this copper front, and there's like a silver backed lining because you're going to be using solder. So when you look through the glass, you probably can't really tell on here, but it'll be silver showing through, so that if it doesn't show through as black, you won't notice as much that there's copper foil showing through if you don't get this all even. So what you want to do is center your glass onto the foil. I tend to start towards somewhere on the longer edge of the glass, because if you start at this end, it's just, when you overlap, it's just gonna be harder, right? So start somewhere on the long edge and try and get this centered. All right, and just give it a little push down to keep it still. Okay, peel a little bit back at a time and just kind of start wrapping it around. Peel a little bit back. And you're eyeballing this and just slowly press that onto the glass. Okay, it looks pretty centered. If you mess up, just pull back a little bit. Till you think you have it centered. And roll it on to the glass. Okay, I gotta straighten this out because it's not really centered. If you concentrate on one side and you're sure that, you know, it's one side has the same amount, and the other side should have the same amount, instead of worrying that both sides are, you know, at the same time, it's probably going to be easier for you. All right. So once you get it all on the glass, what you're going to do is just start pressing down to get it on to the edges of the glass, and then you're going to wrap the corner like they were Christmas presents or birthday presents or whatever. All right, so you get it up to the edge and then push the corners down, and then press the edges down till you get to the corner, and then push the corners down. Okay. And we'll push those corners down. Okay. So you'll see that this is a little wrinkly, right? So what we need to do to make sure that this foil sticks to the glass really well is, you know, I have a special tool that I use to burnish the foil onto the glass. I don't expect you to have one of these, but you can use a pen or marker or whatever that's flat, popsicle stick. All right, so this will work just as well. And you're just gonna push that down onto the glass. Turn it on its side, make sure that you get this edge. Do the same thing to the other long edge. Okay. Make sure I got both edges, short edges there. All right, now you want to do the same thing to the flat edges. All right. And then pay attention to those corners. Now what I do with the corners is I work them inward, because if you work outward, you could peel them back, and you don't want to do that. So I kind of work them inward. Okay, and then make sure that you get the edges, and then again work your corners inward. Flip it over, make sure you get the other side. Work your corners inward. One side, sometimes your glass is textured. One side will have a texture, one side will be really flat. So you'll notice when you're doing this that one side is going to be easier to do than the other. But it'll stick. Okay, so that's all you need to do. Just make sure that that's flat on there. Okay, make sure we're still taping here. All right, I'm going to show that to you again. You take your foil and then just measure it with nimble fingers. It doesn't matter, because you're going to have extras for overlapping, so it doesn't have to be perfect exact the first time. Bend your corner a little bit to get it started. Right. And then center it on to your glass. Okay, and then just start rolling it on. I know I make it look and sound easier than it is, but I'll send you a couple practice pieces. And if you do find out that it's uneven in some areas, like I'm going to kind of screw up here at the end. I'm going to go uneven, okay? And show you what you can do. Alright, we're going to push these edges down, get the corners in. Okay, so if you look here, okay, that is way overlapping. You see how skinny it is here and skinny it is here, and then it way overlaps there. So what I'm going to do here is take an X-Acto knife and trim that off so that it's even with all the others foil. But what I'm going to do first actually is burnish that down, because if I start using an X-Acto knife on that, it's just going to pull away on me. Alright? Make sure your X-Acto knife is sharp, because if you use, obviously, if it's going to be dull, it's going to pull away also. And keep a lot of pressure on there to get a nice smooth cut the first time. And you can just pull that away. And see how that's a little bit better now? It looks a little more even. But now that means that the back side's going to be skinnier. And you can kind of see, like right here, you can see darkness showing through. So what's going to happen when you go to solder, you're not going to have enough solder on this end because there's not enough tape to hold the solder. So you want to add tape here. Again, I'm going to burnish this down. There's not a lot to burnish because there's not a lot of tape there. You can take a little bit of tape. It's easier to do it this way than to peel all that tape off, because you're going to waste the tape, and this is just an easy repair. Okay, I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to place that and try to line that up with my other foil that's on there, and I'm just going to roll that over. And it's okay, it's not going to affect the other side because it's going to even out, because it was already missing foil on this side. See now? That's nice and even. Okay, so now I can go ahead and burnish this down. Get my corners, make sure you work the corners inward. That was the textured side of the glass. Okay, and that's it. That is how you foil glass. And next I will show you how to solder this.